Recorded March 26, 2024. Good afternoon, Brody. Good afternoon, Rod. How you gentlemen doing?
I'll let Brody go first since you mentioned him first, since now
No.
I know what the secret is. Go ahead, Brody.
Age before beauty, Rod. After you.
But no, we follow Ed's lead. He said Brody first.
Oh,
then
we're gonna
Rod.
do that from now on. Okay, we're not just
Yeah.
gonna answer at the same time. Okay, cool. Hi, I'm doing great. Super not busy day whatsoever. Teams is not just blowing up my computer, and email numbers just keep growing, and then people call you for it's fine. Everything's fine. Not a big deal. Everything's great. Yeah, things are great. How about you guys?
You sound so sincere.
Yeah. Dripping with sarcasm. Don't let it get in your keyboard. Yeah. Rod.
Okay.
Let it
So
get on your keyboard.
before I think we need to put Brody on the couch and dig into his psyche and figure out what the heck is wrong with Brody. We'll do that later though, because this is a super awesome episode, right? This is our 200th episode.
Yeah. 200th episode.
200. And I'm so happy for the guest that we have on tonight to help us celebrate 200. But anyway, 200th episode, 200 episodes. How many weeks is that? Well, of course, we're doubling up this month and next a little bit, but
yeah, we typically do one a week, but Women in Cyber Month, necessitated we have 8 shows, and I think part of the month is going to be on the same vein, if not more. But 200 shows. I'd like to say thank you, Brody. Thank you, Rod. I think the way we wouldn't have gotten here specifically, if you two hadn't sort of came in on the show and never left. I still don't know how you guys got in, and we could expunge you out.
That wouldn't leave.
If you get that reference, that means you're old like me.
Oh, it does.
I get the reference. Saturday Night Live.
John Belushi. Yeah.
The thing that wouldn't leave. I want to say a sincere thank you to Frank Grimberg, the co-creator of the show. When him and I started the show 200 episodes ago, almost going on 3 years ago, we had thought about doing it for months before we finally pulled the trigger and got away from not starting because we were hyper focused on perfection and trying to be like everyone else. And he was like, man, let's just do the show. And since then, we got a loyal audience, fans, friends, guests that come on to provide tremendous amount of value, insight. Brody and Rod came on for some reason. I can't even remember the first day you guys were on, and now you're just permanent fixtures here. And I really appreciate you guys. I know that Franklin's not here. He went on to do bigger and better things, I guess, but he's still around. He pops in every now and then. So thank you, Franklin, for convincing me to do it, and thank you, Brody and Rod, for coming on to do it. So I really, really appreciate it. To our listeners that are just joining, 200 episodes, and we have a good guest tonight. But before we get in that, it is Wednesday, so now you've had time to do work.
It's Tuesday.
Brody.
Yeah, Brody.
Oh, it's Tuesday, so he hasn't done any work yet. He'll do some work by tomorrow.
I don't know what you guys do all day. I want your jobs, Kay, because it doesn't seem like you're always in the chat. Like, oh, what are you up to, Rod? I'm making a deck. What are you up to? We got this Learn Live thing coming up, and I'm just
tomorrow,
slaving, trying to get billable hours and drive value at customers. But yeah, it's fine. It's fine. You guys are fine.
You got to be like Rod and I. We're living co-pilots.
I can't wait. It's going to be great when your entire generation is in the retirement homes and our salaries are down and our costs are high to make sure that you're on life support. I'll look back on these times and say, I wish I was less busy.
And I'll thank you for your support. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I just want to take a moment and say, Edward, I really appreciate all the kind words that you just said when you and Frank asked me to come on the show as a guest, when I just reached out to honestly just say thanks because I recently passed my CISSP and I was looking to now specialize in Microsoft security and security technologies so that I could get certified and be an awesome consultant. I never knew you'd invite me on a show and then invite me to be a guest. It's been a massive positive thing in my life, not just my career. I've met so many amazing people. I've yet to meet any of you people in person, which is too bad, but we're going to make that happen soon, post baby time. And career-wise, I mean, it's opened so many doors, and I've connected with so many people. It's an honor, and being able to connect and give back to the community in this way is fantastic. You know, I know, Edward, we've got some threads going with partners for next month. And every time I read, like, oh yeah, I'm a regular listener of the show. I love it. I've got episodes queued up. Like, it kind of blows my mind because I'm doing this all remote, and I'm just here in Canada, like, you know, do, and no one really knows what I do at my
That's what I do too.
work because all my people are account people. There's no other people here, and no one ever comes up to me and says like, oh hey, like I know about the pod and all this shit. Then I go to Redmond. And then like people are like, you're Brody, and I'm like, what do you mean? How do you know who I am? And it's all because of this show, this pod, right? Well, and some community work I do, and it's really it's just mind-boggling the kind of the impact you can have in a sea of podcasts and YouTube channels and videos and everything. You know, we're actually having a real impact, and we're meeting with people, and apparently they like us, and it's just it's awesome. So just thank you for giving me the opportunity, and thank you to everybody who's been listening and watching. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
has been.
good times. I mean, a year and a half that Rod had come on as a co-host, and we had met, and we finally got to meet last year face to face. I'm thinking Rod's like 6'5", 6'6". He's
Oh,
short
no.
like that. It was the same height. I was like,
Yeah.
you sure you're Rod? Where's
Yeah.
Rod? Yeah.
Hey. Yeah.
And but you know, and thanking each other once again. We need to thank our listeners, our viewers, our supporters, our guests, our co-hosts, guest co-hosts, that you know, take time out of their busy schedule to come listen to us and listen to the crazy banter. I hope you learned something. You know, shout out to folks who are behind the scenes that still make us run. You know, Noodle, Trevor, you
Noodle, Trevor.
you know, they do the things,
Mhm.
right.
Noodle and
Not
Trevor.
everybody, yeah, not
Other
everything that
Brody.
the other brother, you
Yeah,
know.
Brody.
Shout out for those who evangelize us in other countries, Morton, Henrik, and those places. So 200, 1,000 more to go. I mean, 800 more to go. And we hit 1,000 episodes. I'm gonna stand down, but good times. So let's get started.
Yeah.
A little bit late today, but I haven't done a whole bunch of super interesting stuff today. I actually got to play with some Caspi stuff, with some Secure Edge, and that's all the links to the stuff I'm going to put in the show notes. Interesting blog that's sort of talking about the Microsoft Security Service Edge, including intra, private access, and internet access. There is a deployment guide we'll put in the show notes so that when you want to do a proof of concept, either to a customer or to yourself, I think sometimes people believe proof of concepts are customer facing. They're internal facing first. I would hope that the proof of concept activity that you do is not the first time in front of your customer. So we'll put that in the show notes. It talks about do a complete lab and a couple other things. The next one is from a guy, I think it's Stephen Lim, and I thought Kajay wrote some really top level KQL queries. This guy's giving him a run for his money. And they're fans of each other. He wrote a KQL to understand the vulnerability associated with your domain admins and the machines that they're logging on. And I can relate to that because I'm taking a forensic course. And the first thing a hacker does is try to navigate through your infrastructure to find vulnerable endpoints and want to dump, you know, the last key and get, you know, the hashes that they can take offline and go crack, right? And they look for workstations that a domain level identity has logged into. And you'd be surprised how long, you know, artifacts last on that machine that could be reused to come back and replay, you know, authentication, whether it be you passing the hash, skeleton key, you brute forcing the last, the LSAA, LASSS database. You know what I mean? LAS. Yeah. I want to say last ass, but that's not how it's pronounced. But I thought it was pretty
I think
good.
some people think it's that. So.
We're gonna get him on the show when we get back to non-theme shows. We got another month of a theme, but he's definitely an individual I want him to come on and talk about this. And I'm using his stuff in a while. It's actually pretty good. I'll give this stuff and we'll put it in the show notes to everyone. So thanks for that.
Hey, before we introduce our guest, I also want to mention next month, so everybody is aware and excited. We actually have the schedule will be finalized here shortly, but next month is Copilot for Security Partner Month. All month long next month, we have have a bunch of partners that work with Copilot for Security and want to come on and talk about what they're doing. We had Tanium, Quorum Cyber so far, Bulletproof, Critical Start, and Foresight. And we're working on a couple others. So kind of keep that
Working
in
on a couple
mind.
of others.
And also, one last thing,
What's the name of that month again?
partner month, but
For
co-pilot for security.
Copilot for Security Partner Month.
Yeah, I guess.
Co-pilot for security.
We'll create our own acronym for it. To
Yeah,
make
we'll
it
make it that sound.
much easier. I also, speaking of acronyms, the Copilot for Security team invented one called SCU. Well, I got called to the principal's office today because I invented more of it. I called it SCU burn, which means you're using up your SCUs. And I'm thinking at this point, I'm probably just going to go with it. I'm going to create a whole fitness video series called SCU burn.
Rod, what is SCU?
Security compute unit for Copilot for Security.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that next month. But.
You just want to get that out there that you got in trouble, and then you're handling it.
I guess
did,
my
but
better judgment. I told him not to.
I did, but I'm gonna own it, just like the Speaker 25 thing. I'm gonna own this, and I'm gonna make it bigger than life. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, we come up with a series. Feel the burn.
Yeah,
We'll
feel
get
the
it.
burn.
Feel
SCU
the
burn.
burn.
Yeah. How to
Hey,
get
the stock price isn't going to go up unless people use the AI, Rod. Okay, so burn, baby, burn. Use that SCU bucket. Yeah.
Yep.
Add that to your
Mhm.
OpEx. Get that in there.
All right.
It's good times.
So we do have
I guess.
a guest this evening. This is our second show of the week. We have 3 shows this week. We end tomorrow with one of my colleagues, Jolene, but tonight we have a super awesome guest, and we have a lot to talk about. So we should actually bring her on. I vote for it. I vote we bring her
Let's
on.
do it.
Edward. Yeah. Okay.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
Hey, it's Leticia Gammill. How you
Yes,
doing?
that's me. You actually made me feel like I was part of this other podcast that I really like called Smartless. I don't know if you.
I do like that podcast. I've only heard it or listened to it once, but
It is hilarious, but it's like 3 guys like you.
Yeah.
And they are talking for a while, and then they bring their guest, and they are really funny. So I totally recommend, before we jump into our topics, Smartless.
Yeah.
All right, we'll put in show notes. I will put it down here. Smartless.
And thank you for calling us really funny. That's a massive compliment.
Notice you didn't call us smart.
Isn't that podcast? It's like 3 celebrities.
It's usually one celebrity.
One celebrity.
I'm considered a celebrity here.
Absolutely.
That's why it's reminding me of that podcast.
Okay. So, yeah, well, I'm going to check it out. I need to add something to my playlist when I'm out running. So to our listeners, I had the pleasure of meeting Leticia. Did I say it right?
Yes.
At a co-pilot boot camp secret mission something up in Redmond. And we talked and hit it off and just talking tech and everything. And I don't know how the conversations veered, but she told me about a super interesting, impactful project that she's working on that when I looked it up, I'm like, oh my God, this is massive. This is you? Like, she said, yeah. I'm like, oh man, you need to come and talk about this. So we want to make the show 2 parts. We want to talk about you as our guest, your career in cyber, your journey to get in cyber, how you got in, what you're doing. And then we definitely want to make sure that we give you as much time to talk about your impact and your outreach in regards to introducing more women into the realm of technology, particularly around cybersecurity. I really, really want to highlight that because it lends into a couple of folks who were on the show previously that talked about the way they give back. So without further ado, because I can't do justice to an introduction, would you introduce yourself to our guests and listeners?
Yes, Edward, totally. And I do remember what we're talking about because I was looking over that sea of people and I was like, why does it always have to be a dude fest in anything that is cybersecurity, right? So
Agreed.
that was a topic of conversation. But anyway, I'm Leticia Gammill. I work at Microsoft. That's my daytime job. I lead the security sales programs. It's a global team that builds acceleration programs for customers to be adopting our solutions. And actually, one of the programs where I met Edward is a co-pilot for security. So my team introduced the early access program so that we could have customers tested before that. So I've been at Microsoft for a little over 2 years, and then prior to that, I was at Cisco also in security for 10 years. And that's where I started my other project. So I'm a Latina. I'm from Brazil and also Portugal. Speak Spanish fluently. My mother language is Portuguese, and I also am fluent in French. So I've always really enjoyed the whole traveling and multicultural background. And when I was at Cisco for a number of years, I was focused on the Latin America market in both the sales and the channel leadership role. And I always used to travel a lot in the region. And it was quite often that I was the only woman in the room talking cybersecurity and all with our customers and partners. And it started to bother me because I was like, I have all these partners and customers that come to me. It's like, do you have anybody that you can put a referral for us, because we're trying to hire people, and we, all these reports around the lack of cybersecurity professionals around the globe, even more in Latin America. And then I decided to, it was Christmas of 2019. And I decided to, I'm going to look for organizations across Latin America to volunteer my time, do mentorship, maybe other women that can be more motivated, encouraged to join the industry like I did. I don't have a technical background, but you can acquire that. So I wanted to volunteer my time. And then I scrubbed the web, and I couldn't find, I found organizations that are like women in tech, for tech in general, but I couldn't find any organization for specifically cybersecurity, which is what I wanted to talk about. And I thought, if it doesn't exist, why don't we create? So I came back to work in January and put together with my peers that were female and working in Latin America. So I have this great idea. Why don't we start an organization and let's see where it goes? So this was 5 years ago in 2020, and I'm the only one located in the U.S., part of our leadership team. All the other leaders are located across Latin America, from Mexico to Colombia to Brazil. And then we incorporated, got the 501c3 registration that year, and it started to just build our network. And immediately, so many women started to join. And we decided to go towards, this was actually very organic, folks. It's not like we had the whole strategy since the beginning of what we were going to do. We really wanted to just, do more mentorship, and then that other women, students also interested in entering the field could see Latinas like me and my peers that were able to be successful and build that kind of network. Then we started to find a niche around, we started to identify the gaps that we had in the region. As you work in cybersecurity as well, you know that when you're starting your career, cybersecurity certifications are something that is very well regarded. So we started to partner with big organizations. We partner with Microsoft Philanthropies, with Fortinet, with Cisco, in order to be able to give access to these certifications to our community at no cost. So this has been really, I think, where we have found exponential growth. Mm-hmm. And then one certification that I hope you all have, SC900. You do?
Yep.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So since last year, we're running a program. It's been 6 months, and we have 5,500.
Oh, no way. That's great.
That have taken the SC900 through our community.
That is awesome. Oh, my goodness. That's
and
great.
This was thanks to Microsoft Philanthropies that invited us to participate in this program. Through our WOMC Training Center portal, we developed the content all in Portuguese and in Spanish with female instructors so that our community could relate. And then the program was open at first only for women. And that's how we got to these marks. We have since the last month open for men too, because men started to knock on our door. We don't have an organization like yours in Latin America for men. Please let us join your programs too. So we started to also be obviously welcoming. We want to have we want to close the gap in the region in Latin America. So it matters for us obviously to close the gap with women, but we're welcoming to men participating as well.
Very nice. Very,
What an
very,
intro.
very nice.
What impact. That's
That
great.
was a really long intro, but I
Nailed
love
it.
it.
Oh, you needed that. That's great. Of course, we're going to have questions. I think Edward's already ready. So,
Well,
Weird.
well, people always ask me where do you find the time, and I'm like, I don't know. If you go looking for the time, you won't find it.
right.
It'll be there when you need it.
It's on my
But
list.
I'll ask you that question because I know with the particular product that's eating up all the air in the universe, which is Copilot for whatever, you have to be extremely busy because it's going to be a major announcement here in a little while, in a week or so, right? So
April
how is
1st. April 1st.
April 1st at 10 a.m.
Is it an April
PST.
Fool's Day joke? This Copilot announcement day?
No, Brody, I know. When I saw the date, I'm like, are you kidding
Yeah.
me? I know. I was in this program before. I was like, I know. Like, no, it's April 1st.
That would be
So-
so funny. And
Official GA.
it's like Wizard of Oz, and they do Copilot for security, but then they pull back the curtain, and it's just like Brad Smith on a keyboard answering.
I think it's
weird.
Clippy or
It's Clippy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's Bob.
it's Steve Ballmer back there with wires hooked up to him?
yeah.
So he's he never
Keeping
left.
Palmer alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Developers. Mhm.
So, Leticia, with your role at Microsoft and Copilot being your absolutely primary function, how's that affecting you now? Your work, all this, the buzz. Just give us some juicy Copilot, tidbits. Any anxiety about April 1st?
I actually a little bit because I'm trying not to think so much about it because the main program manager in my team that's leading this initiative leaves on maternity leave next week. So very appropriate. And I had someone also in my team that left. So we're closing some gaps. And I was like, okay, Friday is the time for me to just go and deep dive on all the different program components that we are going to be launching also on April 1st around funding and around, POCs and all that, so that I can take over as of next week as well with some help. So those are like, things that are going on right now, just like yourselves. I'm very busy, but I think when we are doing the things we like, we always find time for everything.
Yeah, the time is always there. Is whether you will prioritize it and give it, more importance than the other things that you're doing, right? But when we were talking about Copilot, and we're gonna definitely dovetail into it next month, which is going to be all about Copilot, but from a perspective of what partners are doing. Tell us, you were at Cisco for 10 years, so you were at the edge of when Chambers was there.
I was, yes. And I was a boomerang because I joined Cisco through an acquisition of, for those of you that remember, email security appliance called Ironport.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Ironport will.
Ironport days. So I joined through Ironport, and then I stayed for a number of years. So John Chambers was during that time, and then I left for a few years, went to Palo Alto Networks and a few startups as well. Took a year sabbatical to travel with my family across Asia and Australia, which was the best time. Took the kids out of school. They did virtual school during that time, and then when I came back, I went back to Cisco. So total of 10 years with 2 breaks.
In Cisco, I started my career in networking. It's been well publicized and love it, and still be my core love. When you were there, what was the general demographic? Were there so few women at Cisco as an IT company first, and then when they decided to start pivoting into security, because you had Cisco Mars was one of the things they started doing. Then you started having PIX, and you started doing I remember the wireless had a security thing, the Will-C, and then Cisco Works tried to come around. What was that layout? Were there so few women that you guys knew everybody? You know everyone, every other woman.
We did, yeah. I remember I was part of a program called Accelerate Her, and it was women from the product team, women that were in sales, marketing, and it was like, maybe 30 of us. So not that many, which was very welcoming when I joined Microsoft and in general, and I started to see, it was like, oh my God, I joined these calls and there's women all over the place. So it was quite a change for us. I mean, obviously things are changing. I think I loved Cisco for the closeness that I had also with the people there. I have best friends that I've built there, and I think the company as well as Microsoft has been doing a really good job around emphasizing diversity and inclusion, sponsoring also organizations such as WeSees, such as WOMC as well. We're building a certification program with Cisco. So I think all of these big corporations are seeing the need, right? That we need to expand. But it's not only that. We know, as I gave to you guys the example, my customers, my partners, who are also always asking for, who do you have to refer to me? Hey, I would really love to be able to hire a woman. They come to me now always on at WOMC and say, hey, can you refer someone to our company? Because now that we built this enormous pool of women across our community, so that became also very attractive, because a lot of the groups, I do want to have more diversity. I think cybersecurity needs to have more diversity. I need perspectives that are different. I need people that don't necessarily have just a technical background, people that maybe speak other languages so that they can understand also the threat landscape coming from overseas. So these are all, I think, things that in a broader range tells you a lot about diversity, and inclusion, that it doesn't have to be necessarily the same genre, but that, people that are coming from different backgrounds that have the ability to, through certification programs, through mentorship, be able to also get into the industry. And the industry has so many different fields that you can be applying yourself, right? From privacy to product marketing to PR, all these different areas that you can talk about cybersecurity, and you don't have to be a guy in a hoodie behind the dark room.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, are you talking about me? Yes, I do have a hood. So that's something I think is super important to highlight, because I didn't even think about that until you mentioned that. So your org, right, offers those types of referrals as well, because you have people that are part of your organization. That's probably a much better way to identify potential roles than just hanging out on LinkedIn all day and saying, hey, I'm hiring, or I'm looking for work, or something like that.
We did a virtual because we operate all over Latin America in a virtual setting. Sometimes it's like and we are 100% volunteer based as well. So we did a cybersecurity career fair in October of last year. October, why? Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So that was the first ever of such a career fair in Latin America, where we invited employers that had with their recruiters, and then we opened. That was not only for our community; we opened for our entire followers to be able to be part of it. And it was really great, because this was a virtual setting, but the ability of with technology we can do so many things. But the ability of actually linking the recruiters to the pool of professionals that follow WOMC and follow the work that we do and are part of the community as well.
And I think Rob was onto something. A lot of companies may have good intentions, but the execution and
Yeah.
they don't want to reinvent the ways they go out to obtain that diversity and do that, because they're still going to the same colleges, at the same job fairs, at the same thing, and
Yeah.
they don't really switch out. They think that the effort is enough, but you have to be more creative. And but I see that if they have a central point of reference of a sort that's already, I won't say vet, but has, you know, matured individuals, put them through a maturation program, make them feel more comfortable. Because even if you go to some of these places, the recruiting process is not friendly a lot of the time.
Oh no. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It is brutal that the way they feel like they're there to do something is a checkbox. They don't have very much creativity about trying to, to recognize potential in someone. But then maybe it's because it's rushed and it's so structured, right? Fly in, put up your banners, set up a table, hand out some cards, grab a few resumes, blah blah blah, box check. They go back home,
Yep.
right?
Wow, very well put. Very well put.
And it's on to the next conference. And I got 10 colleges to get through, and stuff like that. And I have to make it fit within this budget, and I don't have time. So I really love what your organization is doing, but saying, hey, no need to struggle if you're sincere about bringing someone in. We have done a lot of these things, and we have helped these individuals be prepared, right? You
Right.
just got to be prepared. Um, and you said something else. I run a nonprofit myself. It is a different type of leadership when
Yes.
the people that believe in your mission are not compensated in a manner that is corporate. It is totally a participatory and voluntary organization. They believe in what you are doing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's the thing. All right, and I
And
believe
to
me.
complement that, Edward, something that I have observed, because I'm completely new to the world of also a nonprofit, but I set up the company and I bootstrapped the organization, and all of us are in the business world, so we have KPIs, all these tracking mechanisms. But you're dealing with volunteers. You're not dealing with
Yep.
paid employees. And but one thing I have observed, the power of the networking within volunteering. And I have to tell you, I know the people that I can hire with my eyes closed because of the volunteering that they have done
Mhm.
in my nonprofit. Because if they have been this committed and having really high quality deliverables when they are doing the work as a volunteer, you can imagine what they would
Mhm.
do when they are in a professional setting. And that really has been, I think, when we bring in new volunteers, you have members and you have volunteers, and a lot of people sometimes don't take the volunteering that serious, but they should, because all of us
Mhm.
work for from Microsoft to Cisco to Fortinet to all these other top companies that there are not that many companies, but this is a really great network. So that whenever there is one of us that like, okay, I'm hiring for this, we go first to our community so that we can have strong referrals. And because of the strong sense of ownership that our volunteers have, we know that we have quality people who are committed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and who's serious about it, because the economy for that is completely different. The payout is something completely different. Certain people thrive on that type of payout, and they need it, right? They need to feel like they're empowered to do something. So
Yeah.
I think
I,
that's super important.
and it's a challenge. I have
Yeah.
a SLT call tonight with my nonprofit, right? And we do it after hours because people have day lives, day jobs, day worries, day habits, but they're there, and we go through the business and we recommit. Like this is
Same,
we see the impact. The
same.
impact is very measurable for two reasons. You're small enough, and it's your thing, right? You know when your baby is not well, right? And so when you at large companies, they're talking about how you measure impact and KPIs and everything. Yeah, those are things, but I know when my organization needs more nurturing from its founder, and or when I need to pull back and trust the people that said, I got this. Just go do something else, Edward. Get out of the way. We got this, right? Um, and so how do you go about creating that curriculum that can maximize interest and bring in and still be encompassing, because cybersecurity is diverse. You could do lots of things, right? It's just a catch-all. You could be cybersecurity compliance, cybersecurity threat intelligence, cybersecurity penetration tested, cybersecurity whatever else. How do you go
Marketing.
about creating
Marketing.
how do you create a baseline that bring all of your, do you call them students when you bring them in?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, your students, they get them all on the same, and then how do you monitor who, and this is a two-part question, so I'll just say, how do you create that base level to get everyone in?
So twofold. So we have programs that are to develop hard skills and program to develop soft skills. And I think, I don't believe that only one or the other. So I think that you can be doing the hard skills around certifications and these kinds of programs, but we have to follow through with some soft skills kind of training. And I'll answer your question with a couple of examples, because we try to tailor to all different levels of our community. Because first of all, you have the people that want to get into cybersecurity, either being, entry-level students, or we have fantastic cases of people above 50 that we are giving them a new opportunity now by funding the certifications for them when maybe they were out of the workforce, or single women, single mothers that are struggling, and then they wanted to get into cybersecurity, that now, because of the certification, they have a path to that. And there's really nothing more rewarding than coming Friday and reading some of these emails of all these people writing to us and thanking us for the access, for being able to change their lives, but also, we're giving them confidence, which is a really big thing.
A
Really
tactical, yes, it's the confidence to say I achieved, and sometimes that confidence can be recognition by your peers on maybe solving a problem, but sometimes it's as simple as coming into the office and going, hey,
right? Like posting on LinkedIn, I achieved my badge. So
yes,
these are the hard skills are entry-level programs, but also we want to be able to develop also the women who are already in cybersecurity and elevate them. So right in our second year, we started to put together these awards called Top Women in Cybersecurity in Latin America, because we also realized that there are these kick-ass women in all these companies that we never heard of, CISOs, Director of Cybersecurity. So we put together with a panel of judges, nomination process, a type of election and voting for us to choose the top 25 women across Latin America who had already prominent positions in cybersecurity but needed to be elevated and had more visibility in the market. And this last year was our fourth year of doing these prizes, and it has been fantastic because it has truly elevated, and a lot of women that were able to then get better roles because of the award. So we are also trying to advance them, and including in also this kind of advancement, we are doing also the more advanced cybersecurity courses for that kind of community. Sorry, let me just close here. Sorry, I apologize. Someone was calling. So what I wanted to also say is one more program that we're about to launch this year is we will be funding 10 CISSPs certification for women in our community. And why is that? Because this is for us across Latin America, this is like the top of the top, the creme of de la creme. Very expensive. Our community cannot afford to pay a $90 certification for SC900, let alone $1,000 for a CISSP. So through grants, we will be funding CISSP to be able to advance those women who are already in cybersecurity, but need to be advancing even more on their careers.
That's amazing.
Now, soft skills. Soft skills are when we are running these programs and the certifications, then we also run in parallel mentorship programs such as how to create your LinkedIn profile. We bring in recruiters that are how do you create your resume? How do you create? These are people all in Latin America. How do you create a resume in English? That they don't necessarily have those skills, because my audience is all just Portuguese and Spanish. So we do these kinds of also programs, how to speak in public, and these are also giving the confidence to all these women.
Yes. I am as even more impressed about hearing
Oh my
this
goodness, yeah.
long term, because when you and I were in Redmond, we were at the thing, we were strapped for time because no sooner than you came out, like everybody back in the rooms, the session starting again. We didn't have enough time, and we had travel. And I have your site up. It's actually one of my favorites on the thing. It comes up, and I look at it, and I go, yes, this is very well put together and very necessary. And then hearing that you're not only working at the entry level to get insertion, but to continue to promote those who have got in. And you shouldn't be stagnant. You should figure out how to continue to grow. And sometimes people believe that growth is a solitary action. It's really based on your merits and how hard you work. That's not true. I've had people who have done me favors, who have said, I don't know what it is, but I want you, I want Ed to do it. I'm going to hire this guy. And then you have to get people to continue to elevate you to be able to do it, to believe in you, to see something, whatever it may be. Just want a chance. So I'm very much interested in hearing more about, your program that you're going to do to, how many women were you going to sponsor for your CISSP?
10.
And
But we're accepting donations, and then we can sponsor even more women.
what's the donation per person?
Well, because of the CISSP cost, we are funding the course and then the actual certification. So the package is $1,000.
I give you $1,000. You heard it on the show.
Thank you.
You will now, on behalf of the Microsoft Security Insight Part Show, you will get $1,000 tomorrow.
Thank you. We will get to
sponsor
11 women. 11 women.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
And I'd like to talk about how we can help more. And Rod is a big philanthropist. He gives almost everything he gets to St. Jude's. I donate to different initiatives, not only in that, and you have to give, right? I think sometimes we tack giving to money, but you can make more money. You can't make more time.
It's hard. One thing that for us running nonprofits, it's hard to get the donation. I have no problem on asking. Coming with a background from sales, the worst that can happen is someone say no. But the corporate donation, it has to be attached to something tangible that that corporation wants to do, right? But a donation for a program that is like the CISSP, is an industry-wide certification. That's the ones that I'm trying to raise individual donations to be able to fund a student, fund a student to be able to advance her career, because she's going to be making a difference with a CISSP.
Absolutely. And it's steps to success. And I whomever this person that is that we attach to, not just give the money and walk away, but say, hey, what was the young lady that received our sponsorship? How's she doing? Does she need something else? Is there something you learn about what you need when you don't have it, right? Sometimes the books and everything, you go, well, I have the books and everything, but well, the computer I got has a 386 processor and I can't really get on I don't have connectivity. Well, then let's figure out how to get that too, right? Don't give one aspect of it. It does me no good when you give me brake pads and I don't have a wheel. So how about a wheel to go with that brake pads and stuff? But definitely, I am more than happy, and on behalf of the show, we're definitely going to donate this, and we'll figure all that stuff out.
Thanks.
And do that. And so we posted.
Well, we have our audience interested in it as well, so you should expect something. I posted the donation link, and we'll put it in the show notes. All the goodies. So yeah,
absolutely, all the goodies.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate, and it's really around making a difference. I started this, as I said, 5 years ago, but I believe that also, for us who work in technology, as we all know, there is some volatility. companies that lay off and then you hire. And I do believe that you should always have a plan B. And little did I expect that WOMC has converted on my plan B, that perhaps someday is going to be my plan A.
That's probably why you and I jailed, because I was talking about my nonprofit, and it went from, it's 10 years old, going on 11 years old now. And but SLT consists of 7 people. I have what my version of leadership we call chapter captains. I have indirect reports over almost 200 and thousands of members. And then one day the light goes on and goes, one day this is going to command all of my attention. It's going to have to, because it's growing faster than sometimes than you can lead, right? Your organization may sometimes outgrow your leadership if you don't give it the attention that it needs.
Right.
And I found myself in that situation years ago where more people saw the potential of what I was doing than I did, right? I thought it was just the thing to do, was necessary, and people, hey, you really need to look at what you're doing. And then one day the lights probably come on for you. You go, this is a big deal. This really is a big deal.
Yeah, just the discussion around this is just overwhelming, because just think what you have done over the course of these first few years, and this is just huge. I think, kind of honestly, we probably should have started the show with what don't you do versus what it is that you actually do, because everything you talk about, I'm like, oh my goodness, she's got that
I
covered.
don't do the laundry. I'll outsource it to my husband.
Yeah.
So we kind of approach women in cyber and ask what your challenges were, but I think you've talked about that already. But I think let's go from the other angle. You work with a lot of women, right, that come through your program. What you seem to be the expert potentially. What's your perception? What is their biggest challenges for getting into cybersecurity? Is it the opportunity? Is it maybe the sponsorship or the grants and things like that? What's their sense?
Twofold. I have to say, because we women have a serious problem, and we look at those job recs, and you all in cyber, you look at the job recs, and there's like 20 different things and requiring like 10 freaking years of experience.
When the product was released last year sometime. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we have proof of that. Like, okay, you need 10 years of experience in AI. And we're like, huh? Right?
Yeah.
Things like that. It's like, in one side is the hiring manager also having to look for talent that is not necessarily going to fit those 20 bullet points. But on the other side, something that I always talk about with other women is like, we tend to really, and I blame myself for that, because I also do that. You tend to look at a job posting and you're like, oh gosh, this looks really appealing to me, but I don't have all those, I don't have all those qualifications here, so I'm not even going to apply. So you have to be also, what I teach a lot of the women now is like, look, companies on the other side are looking at diversity. This is the time for not being apologetic for being a woman, for being a Latina. Go and apply. Go and push for at least an introduction. Even if you don't have all the qualifications, maybe this is not the job, but maybe they're going to like you for something else as well there. One door that opens another one. So those are the twofold answer. One is around the job requirements. We really have to be doing a better job about this. And like this whole thing about so many years of experience. You can learn so much on the job if you have a very good onboarding type of skilling, right? We all know, because we do that here as well. And then the second part is like, women, listen, go and apply. Does not matter if you don't have all the qualifications, because a guy would still apply. So you go and do that too.
Yes, we do. We're ignorant that way. Yes, absolutely. Apply for everything. What's the worst that could happen? The worst answer is you get a no. Maybe you get some feedback as to why, right? Rod encouraged me when I was doing Microsoft certs. He's like, "Hey, if you don't pass, I mean, at least you learned something. Go take the cert again. Like, what's the big deal? Don't be afraid of failure."
And we had Maria on earlier. Well, it was actually last month, but Maria Young. I don't know if you know her or not. Yes, good friend of mine. She takes that same type of approach. She literally goes out and just applies for everything, even if she doesn't meet the qualifications, hoping that, she'll get the experience and understand what it is that they potentially, and that's why she's in the role she's in, is because she did that.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of that. My wife jokes like, "You think interviewing is a sport?" It's known on the show. I interview once a month, all the time, because the interview will show you whether your skills are relevant and are you keeping pace to what is going. I know I don't want the job, but I want to go out and understand: am I doing the things that make me viable? Is my lifetime learning, because I just learn geeking? Does it still resonate to what I'm doing? And so I encourage people, do not get hyper emotional in the interview process, right? Go into it as a learning process. And we're going to do a show. We're going to do multiple shows. We're going to dedicate a month. And we've talked about certifications. I think we're going to expand this. We're going to talk about certifications and career advancement, but we're going to break it down into entry level, junior, intermediate, and senior. Because I find myself applying for CISO jobs. I could do all this stuff. And when it comes down to it, the reason that I'm disqualified, because they say, well, you haven't been a CISO before. Well, I've never flown before, but then that doesn't make me think I can't do it, you know? And when Mr. CISO man gets in trouble, who do they call? They sit down and say, well, here's my top architect. And I found out over the years that the biggest thing is how you work the room of C-suites. It's a political game. That is the differentiator, is sitting in that C-suite. The education, you can get that. The tech, you can get that. Relationship, you can get that. But can you play the politics? And that's the big thing. So always apply. And I think we're going to have a very themed show later on this year. We're talking about career from entry to career retirement. How do you get from entry, junior, intermediate, senior, executive? And I think we're going to go through all that. And then what affects that? Certifications?
I'll be taking certs on my deathbed.
Yeah.
We do have a really good question from the audience, by the way.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Leticia.
Yeah.
This individual wants to know, or at least ask your best advice for young women that need to command respect in a room full of men twice their age. Well, that's
Very,
a tough
very
one.
good
I want to hear that
question.
myself.
That's tough. Yes. Well, first of all, I hope that when you are in a room with a lot of men twice your age, you're going to be talking about something that you probably have expertise on that. And just think of this: all those men there, they probably have younger sisters or daughters that they want one day to also have that kind of opportunity. I tend to be always very personable. So whenever I have this kind of a situation, I really like to focus and look people in their eyes.
Yes.
So instead of like looking for the walls because you're feeling uncomfortable, I focus on maybe three different individuals and I really zoom into them because it really shows, like, and those people, those guys cannot really turn away. It's interesting. Just try that. But it really helps you stay focused and you stay talking to your audience and really keep your confidence up versus if you're talking and looking at some walls because you don't want to focus on who your audience is. But
Great
just think of
advice.
that.
Yeah.
They have younger sisters, they have daughters, and you showing up and doing what you do best and talking to them is hoping to really change their perception that I want my daughter to be there one day.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. I have a similar, experience. My mentor, Joanne Pate, not a listener of the show, retired, probably outspending her millions of dollars. She's executive vice president at AT&T for years.
No big deal.
And when I started going out to start really doing some of the public speaking, presenting, going to these different conferences, NetOp, going to Cisco Interop, and all these things, I had anxiety that everybody in this room was like a CCIE and all this other, smart. And she gave me some good advice. She said, "Well, what time is your actual presentation, Edward?" And I said, "It's 6." And she said, "At 5:45, you get at that door. And as people come in, you introduce yourself and you find you're friendly and you focus on that person in the audience the entire time."
That's great. I like that a lot. I'm going to use
And
that.
she said, when you find yourself want to look down at your hands, you find you're friendly and people will believe that you are looking at them in the audience. And I would find that friendly. And I've been doing that for 20 plus years. And she said, that's how you do it. Don't leave anything to chance. Sit at that door and shake hands with people, see everything. Someone's going to strike a conversation up, and then that person fall into where they sit, and you just follow. You just look at them, and I still use that to this day. So I get it. It's the little things. But we are up against time. We could talk up for another 15, 20, 30 minutes, but I know you have a multi-global empire to run, and we don't want to take too much. But I really want to say thank you. When I talked to you up in Redmond, I knew I had to have you come on the show to talk about this. The energy that you gave then is the same energy now. If you're ever in Atlanta, because you have a reason to be in Atlanta, I know.
Yes, I do.
I know. I do not hesitate to look me up. My wife and I would love to have you for dinner or whatever else. But don't be a stranger. Thanks so much for coming on to the show. To our listeners, this really strikes to me about seeing this type of empowerment that go out and it has tangible benefits. Go look at the site. Go make a donation. Money is easy. We'll take it, but time and involvement can definitely be, much more impactful. But if you don't have time, we'll take the money. Please donate. If not here, then somewhere else that's making someone else better. We really, really like for you to do it. Once again, on behalf of the Microsoft Security Insights Pod Show, we are happy to sponsor at least one other individual in your CISSP enablement program, and we'll go ahead and get that taken care of. I'm so happy for that.
Thank you all. It was my moment to shine, feeling like I was part of Smartless, but an even better podcast because I am so passionate about this topic, as you can tell. And I do agree, Edward, we could be talking for another half an hour or even more. There's a lot of topics that I was like, I should have said this. But
we'll hold you to it because we're always looking for guest hosts so we can take time off. So we like to surprise our listeners like Brody, Andrew, Rod. Nobody's there. Edward, we were running the show today, right? So we're definitely going to get better than that.
One last thing, though, because I take notes during every show, and there's one lingering question. You mentioned the job fair, but I looked on your website and I don't see any reference. Are you going to do that again this year?
It was last October, so
are you going to do it again? I guess is a question.
We will do it again in October, but we will start to announce towards August. Yes.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, because job fairs are important. I think that's a really awesome outreach too. So
I totally agree with you. So that's why you have to do the certification, education, but then you have to do one step further, which is linking with the employer.
Yeah. Yes. All right. I'll be quiet now. That was my lingering question. So.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. See you guys Monday.
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Yeah, that's right.
Show tomorrow.
Dude, I have the space-time continuum was messed up.
Yeah. All right.
We'll do
Talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.